Would somebody like to read? Would somebody like to read the Sanskrit? Sheetal, you want to read?
Yeah. Karmanya karmaya pashyet akarmani cha karmaya sa buddhiman manusyeshu sa yukta krutsna karma krut.
So reading from translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. One who sees inaction, and action in inaction is intelligent among men. And he is in the transcendental position, although engaged in all sorts of activities. So Krishna is giving transcendental knowledge to Arjuna in this chapter. Chapter 4 is it's entitled Transcendental Knowledge. So we'll read from the purport. A person acting in Krishna consciousness is naturally free from the bonds of karma. His activities are all performed for Krishna. Therefore, he does not enjoy or suffer any of the effects of work. So we can see, whole day we keep doing something or the other. We can't just do nothing. And each and every activity which we do, we're going to get a result for it, a reaction for it. And many of us, we want to do a certain activity because we say, oh, this result seems so good. I want this result. We get attached to the result. And that's why we want to do certain things. But a Krishna conscious person, he acts, but he's acting for the pleasure of Krishna. And that's the reason he does not get any reaction for his activities. So that's why it's called akarma. Akarma. He does not enjoy or suffer any of the effects of work. Any activity in which we perform because we are attached to the result, we are going to get the reaction for it. And then we are going to enjoy or suffer for it. So the reaction we may get immediate, or sometimes we get those reactions later in the same life, or sometimes the reactions even in future lives. So that keeps us here in the material world. It keeps us bound in the material world. This action and reaction keeps us entangled. But a Krishna conscious person, because he's acting for the pleasure of Krishna, he's not attached to the results. He's not acting because he's thinking, oh, if I act this way, I'm going to get this, and I'm going to get this, and I want this, and this is what I'm going to use it this way. No, he's just saying, I'm doing it for the pleasure of Krishna. Consequently, he is intelligent in human society, even though he is engaged in all sorts of activities for Krishna. So he is the intelligent person. Why? Because it's not that he's sleeping. It's not that he's inactive. No, he's doing all his duties. He's doing all whatever he's required to do. He's doing it. But because he's doing it for the pleasure of Krishna, he is not bound by the reactions. He does not need to take birth again. He's not implicated in those actions and reactions. Akarma means without reaction to work. The impersonalist ceases fruitive activities out of fear, so that the resultant action may not be a stumbling block on the path of self-realization. But the personalist knows rightly his position as the eternal servitor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So a Krishna conscious person, he's understood his position. He's liberated. He's not attached to the body anymore. He's understood his position as a part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. So he's understood his position as an eternal servant of the Lord. And so all his activities are in that mood. So he's not scared to do anything. He's willing to do anything and everything, all for the pleasure of Krishna. But an impersonalist, what does he do? Is because he knows that if I act, I'm going to get reaction. And he knows that reaction is going to be, is going to delay my self-realization, is going to delay my liberation. So he stops to act. which is a very difficult thing to do. It's very difficult to give up actions, to not, it's difficult to do that. It's much easier to act and then, but act for the pleasure of Krishna. Krishna, I'm acting for your pleasure. And not that we kill people and act for Krishna's pleasure. No, then we have to follow the instructions of Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, as he is saying it, and do it for the pleasure of Krishna. So a Krishna conscious person, therefore, he engages himself in the activities of Krishna consciousness. Because everything is done for Krishna, he enjoys only transcendental happiness in the discharge of this service. So because his consciousness is fixed in Krishna, he is not bothered about the results. So he's not lamenting, neither is he hankering. We tend to lament and hanker because we want certain things. But a Krishna conscious person, he's totally fixed. His consciousness is fixed in Krishna. He's not attached to the results at all. He knows results are for Krishna. So that's the reason he's not lamenting and he's not hankering. And so what is he feeling? Just transcendental happiness. Those who are engaged in this process are known to be without desire for personal sense gratification. The sense of eternal servitorship to Krishna makes one immune to all sorts of reactionary elements of work. So when it comes to this platform, I'm an eternal servant of Krishna, and my duty is to serve Krishna. That is the true platform. That is the liberated platform. That is the constitutional position of every living entity. Now, because we don't want to engage in Krishna's service, then we have this material body where we are trying to enjoy our senses, personal sense gratification, and that is material life. So the choice is ours. The choice is ours. Do we want personal sense gratification, or do we want eternal, transcendental loving service to Krishna? Sense gratification, personal sense gratification is material life, whereas eternal service to Krishna is liberated life. That is the position of every living entity. That's the natural position of every living entity. So working on that platform, the living entity is working in his, he's working with perfect consciousness. So he's not attached to the results anymore. He's doing everything for the pleasure of Krishna. So he does not get any results. He's liberated. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Any comments or any questions on this?
Hare Krishna. So, Hare
Yes,
Krishna.
Vishal. Hare Krishna.
So
Yes,
any
Vishal.
so any activity not done in with the Krishna conscious with in Krishna consciousness is as good as sin.
Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Yes. That's what keeps us here in the material world, because we are acting on a material platform. So these are our material desires, and that's why we have been here since millions of lives. So how do we make the shift? How do we go from having so many material desires to our original position of acting only for the pleasure of Krishna? What do we do to make this transition? We hear and chant regularly, hearing and chanting. The more we hear and chant, automatically our desires will change. It helps us to understand of how to act then. Is that okay?
Thank you.
Okay. Because artificially stopping material desires, we might just become frustrated, right? And then that's not a solution, because at some point of time, the seed of the desire is there in the heart. The only way the seeds of the desires can be burnt out is by chanting. So the more we hear and chant, gradually, the change of desires will happen. Text 19. Does anyone want to read?
Yeah. Yasya sarve samarambha kama sankalpa varjitaha jnanagni-dagdha karmanam tamahum panditam buddha.
One is understood to be in full knowledge, whose every endeavor is devoid of desire for sense gratification. He is said by sages to be a worker for whom the reactions of work have been burnt up by the fire of perfect knowledge. Only a person in full knowledge can understand the activities of a person in Krishna consciousness. Because the person in Krishna consciousness is devoid of all kinds of sense gratificatory propensities, it is to be understood that he has burnt up the reactions of his work by perfect knowledge of his constitutional position as the eternal servitor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So continuing with this, with the previous verse, the constitutional position of every living entity is that we are eternal servants of God. That is the true position of every soul, of every living entity. And when one is situated in this position by perfect knowledge, and he is working in this position, then it means he has no more karma. It means he's liberated. He's liberated. This is the liberated platform. And that's the reason Krishna says that pure devotional service begins from the point of liberation. Brahma bhuta prasanatma na sochati na kankshati sama sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhaktim labate param. In that, and on that stage of liberation, when one has understood, I'm not the body, I'm the soul, I'm the eternal servant of Krishna, then he engages in pure devotional service. And that pure devotional service is on the liberated platform, and there are no reactions to it. It does not bind one to karma. It does not give karmic reactions to that pure devotee. He is actually learned who has attained to such perfection of knowledge. So this is the perfection of knowledge. We are always wanting to know, we all want to know things. What was this one doing? What was that one doing? Let me read the news. Let me go here. Let me go there to get knowledge. But what is the aim of knowledge? Vedescha sarver aham eva vidya. The aim of knowledge is to know Krishna. So when we know Krishna, automatically we will know our position also. And that is that we are eternal servants of Krishna. And this is perfection of knowledge. So that's the reason he is actually learned, who has attained to such perfection of knowledge, because he's situated in his original position. We think we are the bodies. We think, with the body, we have so many designations. I'm a man or a woman. This is my name. This is my family name. I belong to this family. I belong to this community. I belong to this country. This is my duties. This is who I am. But that is not our true position. That is our temporary position till the time we are in the body. But perfection of knowledge is to be situated in our true position of the soul as eternal servants of Krishna. And then that is the beginning of our true life. Our real life begins from the point of liberation. So development of this knowledge of eternal relationship to the Lord is compared to fire. Such a fire, once kindled, can burn up all kinds of reactions to work. So once one has developed this knowledge that I'm an eternal servant of Krishna, once one has understood it, not theoretically, but once one has realized it, all his karma is burnt up. No more, whatever, he was probably gonna have to suffer, be in the material world for X amount of lifetimes or whatever karma. No, everything is burnt up, because pure devotional service can burn up all kinds of reactions. It does burn up. There is no sin that the holy name cannot burn up. There is no sin that we can commit that the holy name cannot burn up. So does it mean that, oh, I'm going to commit grievous sins and chant the holy name? No. Then we are committing offense to the holy name. But the idea is, no matter how much we have sinned in the past, once we come to Krishna, then Krishna takes care. Sincerely, if we come to Krishna, chant his names, hear about him, Krishna takes care. That's why Krishna says, just surrender unto me, and I will free you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. Do not fear. So we were reading today morning, doubt. You know, we have doubts. That's the work of the intelligence. But we should not doubt when we are hearing from authority. When we are hearing from authority, we should not doubt. We should accept Krishna's words as it is, without doubt, because Krishna says, for the doubting soul, then there is no perfection, neither in this life nor in the next. But we should doubt if something is not coming from the scriptures, then we should really doubt. We should not accept that. That is the proper use of intelligence. That somebody's telling me something, is it really coming from the scriptures? And if it is, yes, then we accept it. Otherwise, then it needs to be rejected. Or it can be understood as relative truth, not the eternal truth. Is that okay?
Yes.
Any questions?
What is difference between relative truth and eternal truth?
Relative truth?
Yeah.
So the relative truth is like current right now. Okay, I'm in the body. So relative truth is COVID. COVID is a reality right now. But it is real for me right now at this time and place. But if I give up this body and go to another universe, then COVID is not the truth. It does not exist. So it's just relative. It's not eternal. Right? And when I go back home, back to Godhead, there is no meaning to it. So that is relative. What we are experiencing during our life, we think it's like, you know, we think it's eternal truth. No, but it's just relative to that time, place, and circumstance. Is that okay?
Okay. Thank you. Perfect.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? No, then we'll go further on. 20. Would someone like to read it?
Yeah, I can. Tyaktva karma pala sangam nitya trupto nirashrayah karmanyabhi apravrittopi naiva kinchit karoti saha.
Abandoning all attachment to the results of his activities, ever satisfied and independent, he performs no fruitive action, although engaged in all kinds of undertakings. So Krishna is speaking about the Krishna conscious devotee, the pure devotee. This freedom from the bondage of actions is possible only in Krishna consciousness, when one is doing everything for Krishna. Bondage from actions. So Krishna is saying abandoning all attachment to the result of his activities. So we can see how attached are we to the result of any action that we perform. Are we attached? Are we not attached? Who are we working for? Or are we detached to the results? Are we offering the results to Krishna? Do we want to keep the results for ourselves? That each of us can analyze ourselves. But what is Krishna saying? Krishna is saying that a pure devotee, he is not attached to the result of his activities. Why? Because he's working only for the pleasure of Krishna. He's doing everything for the pleasure of Krishna. And that's the reason he does not have any karma, freedom from the bondage of actions. So only when a person is liberated on the Krishna conscious platform, is that he can be in such a position. This is the liberated platform. He's acting, he's doing all sorts of activities, but because he's acting for Krishna, there is no karma, there's no material life. A Krishna conscious person acts out of love, of pure love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore he has no attraction for the results of the action. So what is the impetus for him to act? Now, someone may act because he wants the result of this action. That is material life. We want to get some result. We are attached to the result. We want to enjoy the result of our activity. And that's the reason we act. But what happens is we get implicated in the law of karma. But what happens to a pure devotee? Why is he acting? A Krishna conscious person, what is his impetus to act? He's acting out of love for God. There's no other impetus for him to act. He's coming from a platform of love, and love for God is in the heart of every living entity. It is not that love for God is there only in certain living entities who are born in certain country or in a certain community or in a certain place or a certain planet or a certain species. No, love of God is in the heart of every living entity. Every soul has love for God. And when he acts out of this pure love for God, then because he's acting out of love, he's not attached to the result of his action. He's not attracted to the result of his action. He's not even attached to his personal maintenance, for everything is left to Krishna. So this is a pure devotee, Avashya Rakshide Krishna. He knows Krishna is taking care of me. Krishna is always taken care of me. Krishna is taking care of me, and Krishna will continue to take care of me. So he's not in anxiety about that. And so this platform can't be imitated. It can't be imitated. We have to realize it. Each of us are originally on that platform. But right now, because we are thinking ourselves independent from Krishna, because we are being competitors to Krishna, we are saying, why should we serve Krishna? I'm going to serve myself. That's the reason we are in this material life. So a Krishna conscious person, nor is he anxious to secure things, nor to protect things already in his possession. He understands everything belongs to Krishna, nothing belongs to me. So he's not anxious to collect more and more things. You know, we think, oh, this is mine. Whatever I get, this is my things. And so we are anxious to collect more and more things. But a Krishna conscious person, he understands nothing belongs to me. Everything belongs to Krishna. He does his duty to the best of his ability and leaves everything to Krishna. So he's not attached to the result. He's not attached to the result, but he does his duty. He's not neglectful. A devotee is not neglectful of his duty. He does his duty to the best of his ability. He wants to please Krishna in the best possible way he can, and he's not anxious for the result. His only desire is, how can I please Krishna? That's all. Such an unattached person is always free from the resultant reactions of good and bad. It is as though he were not doing anything. So someone will say, oh, why good reactions are good? Why not have good reactions? What happens is, if we get good reactions, they will still keep us in the material world. They will take us to higher planets. They will give us more opportunity to enjoy. But then someone will say, isn't that good? Yes, it's good, but it's temporary. It's temporary. It still does not take us out of the material world. It still does not bring us to our original position of who we truly are. It's still in the material world. We will still have a material body. But a Krishna conscious person, he's not attached. Results are for Krishna. So it's as if he's not doing anything. His mood, his emotion is, I just want to please Krishna. This is the sign of akarma, or actions without fruitive reactions. Any other action, therefore, devoid of Krishna consciousness is binding upon the worker. And that is the real aspect of vikarma, as explained herein before. So we can see any action, as Vishal just pointed out, that any action which we do without Krishna consciousness, it gives us a reaction. It's binding us to this material world. It's keeping us longer in this material world, keeping us longer away from our original position. Is that okay? So like Prabhupada would explain, like he would say that we don't even know what is pure love, over here in the material world, whatever goes on in the name of love is actually lust. You do something for me, I do something for you. It's like a business transaction. And so Prabhupada would say just a glimpse of love, just a tiny glimpse of love we can see between mother and child. A baby is so young, yet the mother takes care of the baby. Full night she'll stay awake, feed it, clean. She does not have that expectation, anything from the baby. Sometimes, but he would say, yes, now maybe, that's also changing. And the mother may have the expectation that the child will grow up and take care of me. So, when that expectation comes, then that's not love. But when somebody is acting just to please that person, just to please, that is love. And every living entity has that. We all have love for God in our heart, but we have forgotten it. And when we act, we express that love. When we want to show that love, we do something out of love. That is devotional service. When we are expressing our love to God, doing something for God out of love, that is pure devotional service. Doing it out of devotion, And because a person is doing out of devotion for God, he is not interested in the results of his actions, then he does not get the reaction for it. So he's liberated. It's a liberated platform. Is that okay?
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I cannot perform all the activities in Krishna consciousness mode, So how will I can, kind of, how to say?
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know, how to frame the question, but all the activities are not in Krishna consciousness mode. So, is it that I'm committing sin all the way through, or just for those activities that is not performed in Krishna consciousness?
Yeah, so those activities which are not performed in Krishna consciousness.
And anything to rebound or something like that, or just to nullify that very sin. How is it possible?
To nullify the sin. Well, the idea is not to nullify the sins. The idea is that we need to revive our love for God. And that is by hearing and chanting. Then automatically the sins are going to be nullified. Krishna says, you surrender unto me and I will take care of your sinful reactions. So he's saying you act on this platform and I will take away all your sins. So we just have to come to this platform. And then how do we come to that platform? By regularly hearing and chanting. That's the reason we are given the program. Hear, chant, worship the deity, remember Krishna, have Krishna Prasad, so that we can come to this platform. So and devotional service begins by hearing. So by regularly, constantly hearing for a long time, we continuously hear, then we will come to that platform.
Hare Krishna.
It's
Thank
like,
you.
yeah, it's like, you know, a child, he needs to learn to walk. So he has the ability to walk. He has that. He just has to practice it. And the more he practices, the sooner he'll be able to walk. But he does not have to give up. He'll fall down, he'll get up, he'll fall down, he'll take a step, fall down. That will happen. But one day he will start walking, running, because the ability is there. So we do have love for God in our heart. It's just we have forgotten it. The more we hear and chant, we will revive it. It will happen. So regularly, continuous hearing and chanting with enthusiasm. No need to become morose. We have been in the material world for a very long time. So it's not very easy for us to just give up all of our material desires immediately. It's being unreasonable. We are being unreasonable. Of course, unless one is really in that, you know, as Srila Prabhupada says, that we could surrender it we can surrender in 1 minute. But then again, just depends on ourselves, no? How deep are our desires? But the idea, like Rupa Goswami says, we shouldn't become morose. We should engage in devotional service with patience and with enthusiasm. Patience and enthusiasm. And of course, have a gradual plan to increase our spiritual activities. Is that okay?
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, thank you. Did anyone else have any question or comment? No, then let's see how long is the other one.
Yeah, you explained very well, like a mother and baby relation without any expectation. So we just do the same with Krishna, then only we can. So it was really very good. I like, it's very good explanation.
Thank you. Prabhupada would often use this example. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you. Hare
Yes,
Krishna.
Prabhupada would use this. So shall we stop here and chant one round of Hare Krishna mantra?
Okay.
Yeah. Did anyone else want to add anything or comment or share anything before we end?
All good.
Okay, then let's stop here. Thank you so much for listening in and joining in. Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhaktavinda ki jai. Hare
Jai.
Krishna.